Hello. Thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko Live Streaming. This is Atsushi. On Thursday 9 p.m. I will talk about Sashiko while I'm doing Sashiko stitching. Today I got a little bit of issue right now. I will check the audio and then after that I will show you what's going on. Wait, probably.皆さんこんばんは。おはようございます。今日英語の刺し子の配信の予定です。どうぞお付き合いください。英語です。ほぼ全部英語になると思いますけれども、よかったらお付き合いください。ですね、今どういう状況になってるかっていうと、こういう状況なんですよ。Well, this is what's going on right now. Sakura is on the... Sakura, please move. Please move. Sakura. Yeah. Shinobu-san, hello. Thank you so much for coming from Japan. I will talk about today the spirit and marketing. I will talk about spirit and marketing in sort of the Japanese, in the understanding as one Japanese. I will talk about spirit and also marketing while talking about Sashiko and doing Sashiko. I will switch off this camera so I can start stitching. Just a second. Alright. I don't know how I can talk about Sashiko and spirit and marketing, but I feel like it's a interesting topic to mix, so I will start talking about it probably in 10 minutes or so. Oh, sorry. Oh, this is the live streaming where I just stitch. I will not teach anything, I will not demonstrate anything specific. So if you could bring your own stitching project, it doesn't have to be stitching, it can be weaving or it can be knitting. The time and space we can have together over the internet while we're moving something like hand together is the goal of this live streaming. I would like to make a place to be, which we call ibasho in Japanese. So that'd be great if you can bring some. Sorry, the sound, this squeaky sound is from my cat. I apologize for that. Okay. I am working on a big project today, so if there's any topic that I can talk about while I'm stitching, please let me know. I will talk about one specific topic if there's any request. Otherwise, enjoy Sakura. We replaced the toy for the cat and she is enjoying it, but that's pretty annoying at night. The squeaking sound. Sakura. Just a second. Sakura. Sakura, get out. Get out. Sakura. Sorry about that. Sakura. I probably told this story before, but I was not expecting to get a cat. Doing Sashiko and having a cat is kind of a bad idea because there are a lot of fabric and there are a lot of thread, and then cat nail can destroy a lot of fabric. So I wasn't. We as a family we really love cat. We used to have cats before we moved to the US. So we do love cat, but I wasn't 100% sure if that was a good idea to have it. And one day, my daughter brought one from the cat cafe. They called me and then they said that, my wife and daughter said, is that okay to bring a cat back? I thought that was a joke. Well, I should have confirmed that. So anyway, naturally, I take care of the cat. And she likes me. So she brings a lot of stuff for me, regardless when. So even on the live streaming, whenever I'm, stitching, she brings the cat toy to me. Okay, so. Anyway, once I get a rhythm, I will talk about today's topic, today's theme, spirit and marketing. I don't know how I can combine those two, but it is my wish to combine those two. In order to understand Sashiko, we have to go through a lot of normal things, yet something we may have a different understanding in different, due to the difference in the culture. So you do have your own definition for the spirit and marketing. Of course, you probably do have that. You know what it is in English. And I am not going to discuss what is the correct definition or not, but I will explain what they are based on my understanding of Japanese and both English. And I hope it's going to be a little bit of a hint for those who would like to understand what Sashiko is. Right now, the Sashiko introduced in English is not enough yet. It's not wrong, but it's not enough, sufficient to explain the whole picture of Sashiko. So I am here to explain, or try to explain what it is, by sharing a lot of stories. All right, 2 more minutes and then we'll start talking. I don't know if I can stitch while talking about it, but I will try. I will try to talk about it too. I will talk about it and stitch together. So much fabric, so bulky. Oh, by the way, what I'm making right now is kind of a curtain or partition fabric to hide something under the table. Well, not a table, under the shelf. I'm doing a little bit of, how do you call it? Changing the room, changing the inside of the room. How do you call it? In Japan, there's a word, moyogae, moyogae, moyogae. I don't know what it's called. What is in? I don't know what is moyogae in English. It's like a changing the room, furniture's positions or color of the wall, things like that. So I am making a curtain or partition to hide those, unnecessary place. Not unnecessary place. Something I want to hide. There's a boxes I want to hide, and I'm trying to make a fabric to cover it. Okay. Oh, oops! I wasn't planning to take a photo. It was a complete mistake. Sorry. Few days ago, I made a post on Instagram and Facebook about the marketing, and I don't know if we have a same understanding to the marketing, but for me, marketing is the process or strategy to explain the product or service to make sure that it meets the customer's expectation. That's the more like the art. Art as the practice. So it is making a market for the customers or for the people who would like to spend. Like, it's very important process in the consumable society. Like today, capitalistic society, we have to understand what the marketing is. It is very significantly related to the human's activities, psychologies, and behavioral psychology and stuff like that. The scary part of marketing is that if the person who makes that marketing project or marketing campaign does not know or does not care about the significance of that culture, then it may end up with changing the culture or changing the practice itself, innocently or intentionally. If they do it intentionally, it's a different issue, but not so scary, because once they are the trend is done, they're gonna move away, they're gonna move on. But since if they know the culture behind it yet try to change it, then that's gonna be a big problem. So marketing is really important. Therefore, I want the people. Sorry. But at the same time, we are the people who make marketing valuable. So we follow that specific marketing, therefore the people who make the marketing makes that. So if we choose something else, the professional marketer will adjust it to that choice. And I think that's what I want to do. There's nothing wrong with the marketers. Marketers are purely doing a great job because their goal is to make a profit. In order to make a profit, making a campaign and using the catchy word, if Sashiko is the trend, from their perspective, making a sales, making profit is the justice, and that's the universal goal. Therefore, it is okay to use any word. And it is okay to use any word for that, as long as they are aware of the culture they're changing to. Some people probably disagree here. It is not okay to use any word because it's a cultural appropriation, and I am still learning that. But for Sashiko, if they say that their goal is money, I kind of take it easy. Right? Let's say that a big brand decided to make Sashiko jacket, and it's nothing related to Sashiko. I will not react as strong as I would for those who think they know about Sashiko yet kind of advocating what Sashiko is. The reason is that they will move on. The marketers will move on. Sashiko is not something very significant for those people, so they will move on. Therefore, it's not that. For me, it's not that big of a deal. But again, that's probably different idea for different people. And for that marketing, we use a lot of word, right? As I said that, in order to sell, in order to make the product or service more interesting, more marketable, we use the word and we follow those words. And traditional, cultural, authentic, those kind of adjectives to explain what Sashiko is or what Boro is are changeable. We cannot define what culture is. Culture is not supposed to be owned by anybody, or culture is not supposed to be something we can protect or we can keep it aside. The reason I'm saying that is, for me, culture is kind of like the average of the human activities from the people who belong to that culture. For example, if I'm saying the Japanese cultural Sashiko, which means that it's the kind of the average or even the mean, the middle of the Japanese who practice Sashiko is the culture of Sashiko. So it should be different over time. The Sashiko we practice today is supposed to be different from the Sashiko they practiced 30 years ago, and I am okay with those changes. Only things I'm saying is that the change, I want the change to be more mindful. The marketing can be either a savior or destroyer. It's really up to us, not the marketer who try to use it. But if we choose mindfully, the market or marketer will try to adjust that campaign. For that, what I'm doing right now is also part of the marketing. If I want to have an easy cash tomorrow, I probably can do I can sell the certification, something like that. I can sell the package of teaching or being the master of Sashiko, kind of like that. I do teach, but that's only the beginning of Sashiko. But at the same time, I can kind of, not fake it, but I can market myself in a different way. Probably, if my goal is to make instant cash, that would be probably better marketing strategies. But my strategy is not for the short-term profit. For that, it's not about profit so much. It's about the sustainability, the cultural sustainability. Cultural sustainability is my goal. And in order to make it sustainable, I have to involve many people, mainly in Japan, or suppliers, those suppliers in Japan. Sometimes you who listen to this, I would like to help you at some point when I have enough profit. So marketing is us, and it is okay to use those words to market it, and it is important for us to understand that those words changes. The traditional can be different from the viewpoint of who we are talking about. That being said, there is something we don't really change at all. Let's say the culture change, tradition change, authenticity change. Things can change over time. But there's one thing, it's never gonna be different. No matter what. And that is the spirit for me. So I do feel spirit in everything what I do. And of course I feel the spirit of Sashiko. It's not something I can teach in the sentence or in the package, but I can show it to you, the workshop or even live streaming. I'm probably showing my understanding of the Sashiko spirit. Then you can probably feel what it is. But that spirit is never gonna be different no matter what happens to me or to the market. Because the definition of the spirit itself is something definitive, something definitive is the word. Doesn't change, it shouldn't change. That's why it's very difficult to market the spirit. And technically, ideally, we probably shouldn't use the word spirit in the marketing, but it's probably easy to use it. That's a very, very difficult topic, like spirit and marketing. And there are gonna be somewhere there will be the boundary for the cultural appropriation, and that boundary will shift. That boundary is also not the absolute or definitive. It moves around. So by who we are talking from, by whose voice it is, the boundary will be completely different. I do not have a lot of experience in the pain of cultural appropriation. Again, I'm really new to this concept, therefore I have a little bit easygoing understanding. At the same time, it can be completely different if I have to go through something else. And I think that you have the spirit as well in what you are proud of. If there's anything you're proud of and there's anything you cannot change or you cannot give up, I think that's we call spirit. And it takes a lot of time, a long time to define what spirit is for one person. And using the spirit for the marketing purpose can be dangerous and sometimes nasty for that. But it is true that Sashiko is in trend right now. So I have to, there's no way I can ignore the fact that it's getting better, it's getting more popular. And it is my responsibility to learn what the marketing or the logic behind that marketing. And I like to offer the other side of the marketing so that we can be mindful about it. Does it make sense? Sorry, I'm very much mumbling and I don't know if I am making myself clear, but that's how I feel about the marketing and spirit. Spirit is probably also something invisible and something inside, like something small. If you like a Ghibli movies, without sort of acceptance to the spirit, you don't have to believe it, but if you do not try to understand the existence of spirit, well, many movies from the Japanese animation company Ghibli is not gonna make sense at all, because they are making the something in my mouth. They are making the movies based on that Japanese animism. Spirit away is, those are the spirit. Weird. Sorry. I have a hairball in my mouth. Did I lick my cat? I don't think. Oh my. Whew. So for the Japanese people, spirit is very natural to understand. When we go to the shrine, we feel a little bit serene, like we bow in front of the main building. We walk along we don't really walk in the middle or the center of the shrine, because that's where the god or spirit move through. And those small things are very much based on the Japanese culture. And the culture can be, the average of the practice as well as the beliefs of those people who are there or who practice that. So unfortunately, the Sashiko in English is making its own culture, for that matter. And I don't know if it's good or bad at this moment, but when the majority of people understand the Sashiko as the pattern, it will become like that. Maybe it has become like that already. Many people understand Boro as the technique, which is not, but since many people are believing that information, in English, the Boro became the word for the technique, and that is the culture as well. Is it Japanese culture? I don't know. I don't think so, because there are not many Japanese people in that English practice of Boro as the technique. The problem is that if they call it like a Western Sashiko, Western Boro, I kind of understand that probably. I don't know if I like it or not, but the problem is that they think it's a Japanese culture, which is not. The Boro is not a technique, and I don't think anybody I know or anybody I taught, anybody I stitched now with among Japanese, they don't think that Boro is the technique neither. So what happens is that there will be a big gap between the Japanese understanding of Sashiko and in English, and which usually is okay, and we the Japanese really do not worry about it outside of Japan much. The sushi is a good idea, good example. Sushi in Japan and sushi in the US is pretty different, and that's okay. That's for the Japanese people, that's okay, because we have a very structured and strong culture of sushi in Japan, and there are many Japanese sushi chefs still ongoing. It's ongoing activities, it's ongoing culture. It's not dead yet. I mean, it's not gonna be dead. Sushi is not gonna be dead in many years. Sashiko is not as strong as sushi. Sashiko is Japanese. There are many people who practice Sashiko in Japan. At the same time, not every Japanese knows about Sashiko. In fact, it is the very few people who knows about Sashiko in Japan right now. And because that was very ordinary practice, there are not that much documents left. So it's not a structured culture. It's not protected by the government. It's not protected by any organization. As the result, we, the Japanese, even don't know what Sashiko really is. So when there is a definitive answer in the practice outside of Japan, like for example, if I don't speak up, that might be it. If I don't speak up what Sashiko is, the Sashiko may be the word for the pattern, and they might understand it as is, and nobody probably fixed that because it's not a good marketing. Who does that for risking their time of life? There's nothing benefit I get by doing it. Well, since I am living in Sashiko, yes, I get little benefit, but I don't know if there's anybody who makes a living out of just doing stitching. Maybe a few, but Sashiko has become a choice, which is the hobby, which is the culture, which is the hobby, craft. So they are not that serious neither. They don't really have to spend every hour, every day to explain what Sashiko is. Plus, they don't really understand English neither, because studying English is very not equal to practicing Sashiko. I studied English to get out of Sashiko, which is funny because I'm stitching right now. But if I were very obedient, pure, and let's say good stitcher, I wouldn't be speaking English right now, because English is not necessary to practice Sashiko in Japan. So there are spirit, and there's spirit of Sashiko, and which I cannot explain verbally right now, but I can show that over the live streaming, over my Instagram account, and of course in my Sashiko class in person or online class that I'm offering. I do share the spirit by sharing it. And there's also another side of the spectrum, which is the marketing. And I understand that marketing is important, and then we have to we all have to think about the profit. But at some point, we have to worry about, I have to worry about the culture being completely different. That was today's topic. That I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Culture, spirit, and also marketing. It's a very big word. Some people, well, not some. I had advice from somebody I respect very much that it is too late. Atsushi, it is too late to do it. It is too late to share what Sashiko is, because it's already has been sort of defined or spread it as the pattern or as the technique. So I know what you're trying to do, and I know what Sashiko is from her experience. She said she knows what Sashiko is from her experience. She speaks Japanese. She's not Japanese, but she speaks Japanese fluently, very fluently. So she said it is too late. And I kind of agree with that. It might be too late, but it is too late to share what Sashiko is without the sort of struggle or even pain. It is not my intention to create any like a disagreement, not a disagreement, dispute, or I don't want to be nasty. I want to be friends with everybody, but sometimes there are something we cannot change, which is the spirit. So I accept a lot of changes in the marketing perspective, and I have to market myself as well. So I probably, change. I probably don't change much, but I may adjust it by the expectation from the market. But there are something we cannot change, and we shouldn't change, because if we change it, it's going to be something completely different. And that's called the spirit. And sometimes we don't realize it. We just use the word, and then we it's not a destroy the spirit. It's kind of like a repaint. That I always use the kind of repainting word. So it's not like destroy and rebuild it. The spirit itself is not gonna be, the core itself will not change at all. But it will look completely different by getting another paint on the surface, and it will take a lot of time to wash it off. So let's not paint it, or let's paint in a similar color instead of putting the shocking pink on the my house wall from the white. let's get the little bit cream color instead. So it is going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult, and I have to go through a lot of things. But one day, well, actually, not a one day, soon, there are many people who are listening to my voice, which is what I want. It doesn't have to be me to pass down Sashiko. It can happen, 50 years from now, as long as this voice that I'm talking right now and stitching without any editing are left behind, and as long as there are people who learned the Sashiko we're practicing in any languages, in Japanese or in English, then the Sashiko that I want to protect will be somewhere. So for that, I kind of achieved my goal. I don't really have to struggle more. At the same time, it is better to have, the more we have resources, the better it is. So I will keep sharing the stories, I will keep sharing the ideas, so that one doesn't have to live in Japan for 30 years, or one doesn't have to master Japanese to get the spirit or core of Sashiko. Core and spirit is different, by the way. It's a little bit tricky, but core and spirit is a bit different in my mind. I don't know how I can explain that. Core is more materialistic. Inside of the, core is a core. The spirit is a whole of that. It's not so materialistic. It doesn't make sense probably, but well, one thing I can say for sure is that Sashiko is more than what you know, and I want to experience that. I want to find your own Sashiko by doing it, and it is probably more interesting than what you think. If you have taken my online class or in-person class, if you found your own Sashiko, that's great. If you have not, please contact me so I can support it again. I'm so excited that I can do it in person in 2 weeks. Wait, in 2 weeks already? Wow, in 2 weeks. I'll be in Florida in 2 weeks for the 3 days workshop. My workshop for the very much core, the things I really like to tell can be done in 3 to 6 hours. I usually organize the 6 hours workshop because that's the time I realize the participant would need to get it, kind of feel it. I used to offer it in 3 hours, and then I can, pretty much offer everything one needs in 3 hours. But in 3 hours may not be enough for some. So for some people, it is more than enough. Since I would like to make sure that everybody gets the rhythm, I extended to the workshop to 6 hours right now. So it's a 3 days workshop in Florida. Those second day and third days are more like application of the first day, or the core you learn. How to apply that core to something else. So it's like the first day is the sort of class to learn how to use the knife, kitchen knife, cutting board, how to hold knives and stuff like that. And second day and third day, it's more like how to how to cook, how to cut fish for sashimi, and how to cut the fish for saute or barbecue. Those are different, cutting, similar but different. I hope it makes sense. I'm mumbling, but that's the things I'm gonna do in Florida, and then quilt too. It's gonna be very, very, very busy, January and February, which is good. I haven't done any in-person workshop for a long time, so I hope one day I can meet everybody who is watching this. Well, whenever I can travel freely, I am willing to visit the world with a lot of stuff, like sample and stuff like that. Okay, that's that. That was the topics that I was trying to talk about. Topic I brought. Sorry, I'm just trying to check how long it has been. Since 42 minutes. Wow. I've been stitching for 42 minutes already. That's a little crazy. So Thursday night, every Thursday night, I said every, that's a figure of speech. I will try my best to come on every Thursday night. But my goal is to make it periodic. You can't, I know it's not the best time for those who are in Europe. I really apologize. I apologize for that, but I don't have much time during the daytime. It's very difficult for me to make it periodic. At night, probably a little easier. But yeah, I will try to have this live streaming as the periodic one, and talk about things I already explained on the Patreon webpage. I may go off the road a little bit, but there are a lot of stories that I would like to share, and I will. I don't think I overlap much, but like today's marketing spirit. Again, marketing is not bad. Marketing is fabulous for me. Just spirit is something we cannot change, and I don't want the marketing to violate that, I guess. That's how I'm phrasing it. For the live streaming, if you have any questions about Sashiko, it doesn't have to be this, spiritual or indirect. I just don't teach online on the live streaming because there are a lot of tutorials already, and if I start doing it, it's gonna be pretty much me working on the YouTube. The goal of this live streaming is for me to stitch and talk about Sashiko. So if I have to stop stitching because of teaching them, that's gonna ruin the whole purpose. So if the request is about talking, or if the request is doable while I'm stitching, I'm happy to answer those questions, like my opinions or my feelings. What is Sashiko is kind of a it is okay to, well, my answer is going to be I cannot define it, but I sometimes I get a request that can you summarize Sashiko's definition in 2 sentences, or sometimes, uh, you know, the request to summarize what I do in 10 minutes. Well, I can probably do it, but I don't want to, because the process of making it short is gonna skim all of the important things. So probably I can tell the core of it, but it does not explain the whole spirit, the whole picture of that. So, but at the same time, in the marketing, from the marketing perspective, preciseness and easy to understand, short, catchy. Nobody wanna watch. Not nobody. Very few people would like to watch the 90 minutes live streaming as a review. So I understand. I understand that they need is to summarize this live streaming into 5 minutes or even 3 minutes, so that they can feel that they watched this whole live streaming. And that's probably what I should do. I kind of don't want to. If somebody do it, that I don't really care about it much, because that's not my thing, you know. That's their interpretations of my voice, so it's okay for them to do it. But if I have to summarize what I say or what I do, I will summarize it even before sharing it. Since I cannot summarize it, like since I cannot define it so well, I am doing this. I hope you're stitching while listening to this. I got it out of the topic, so I will keep stitching a little more. It's I decided to do this. I don't know how long. It's probably 3 meters length, probably probably 2 meter. I was an idiot. This is a little too much stitching. Too much fabric to stitch with. It's all good. Oh my gosh, it's I got a Zippo oil heater, like those hand warmer. It gets super hot, extremely hot. The questions I asked in the last last live streaming, I probably will keep asking the same question over and over again, and I would like to try to ask that in this, live streaming as well. If you're watching the archives, I want to kind of think about it as well. But what do you like about Sashiko? If you're watching this, you are probably interested in Sashiko, or if you are practicing or you're enjoying Sashiko stitching. It's a scary question for me, and I did not ask this question for the last 3 years because I did not want to get disappointment or even got scared. I did not want to get scared. But I think I'm ready to listen to that. And there's no such a thing as the right answer for this question. What do you like about Sashiko? Everything is correct answer, but sometimes it can be sort of benchmark to realize how far it has gone. But this year I will keep asking that question, and then I have to accept. I have to accept any kind of answers for that. Without, diagnosing what's going on, we cannot even. Well, I think I'm in that phase of understanding what's going on, which I was very much worried about. Not worried, very feared. So much fabric. Shh. By the way, no matter how much you stitch, your fingers shouldn't hurt by stitching. No arm, anywhere, it shouldn't hurt anywhere. When you do those itokoki, it might hurt a little bit because of the pressures you have to put on a bulky fabric, but stitching wise, nowhere, you shouldn't feel any pain. Even fingers, you shouldn't feel any pain. If you feel pain, then that's probably something is a little off. Or, yes, recommend you to take my online class for that if you can. I don't want to do Sashiko to create the pain. There shouldn't be any pain or suffering by doing Sashiko. Okay, after this much thread, I will log off. It's about 1 hour. If you have any questions, please leave the comments. If you're watching this as archive, I will talk about it next Thursday night. Again, this is the Thursday night Sashiko live streaming. This is my dream came true, that I wanted to make a space or time to stitch together over the with sharing the time together. It doesn't have to be stitching, it can be anything with the hand, moving, crafting. But it is for me important to have the space and time to be there without any worries or commitment, or the place to be. There's a word for the Japanese ibasho. I keep saying that ibasho. Some people, like I used to, and some people translate it as home, but it is not wrong. I mean, it is probably the best way to explain that, but a little bit different in my understanding. I don't feel pain, but I did get a callosis. Sorry, I cannot pronounce that, on both thumbs and index fingers when I'm working with some heavy knives. That's very good. Pain is one good indicator, but the callosis, am I saying right? That happens because you are making the friction with the fabric. By the way, these fingers are red because of this pattern, like this ink. By the way, the fabric sucks your moistures away, fingers moistures away, so you will get a very dry hand by doing Sashiko. And that's something we have to worry about. The pain is, we don't feel any pain. We shouldn't feel any pain, but dry hand can be an issue. At the same time, if you put the cream on it, it's going to be too slippery to hold the needle. So it's, well, sweat, I guess. Personally, I like dry hand to stitch. It's very easier to stitch for me. But at the same time, it is very true that fabric sucks up all the humidity from the fingers, so it happens. Thank you, Helen. I'm glad that you don't feel any pain. I'm glad that you do not feel any pain. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to. Even the denim, the fingers shouldn't really have a pain. Like, yeah. When you pull the needles out, that might be the pain, but stitching itself shouldn't have the pain. I mean, I have never had a pain by stitching. That's. I shouldn't say we shouldn't, but it's so weird. I have never had any pain. No, actually no. Wow. I mean, I have a lot of problems. I gained almost 30, even 40 pounds since 2015, 16. Not because of the COVID. Well, it didn't help, but I have a lot of issues. My leg hurts. My head. I have a migraine, so my head hurts, but not the fingers or shoulder or neck because of the Sashiko, or because of the computer work and stuff like that, probably. But in fact, Sashiko may be working as the massage bit. I feel a bit better after doing it, even physically. So it may be working as the... Maybe. I have never thought about it before, but maybe helping me to relax my body as the result. I may massage myself doing it. So that's a good point to dig into. But personally, when I am tired, I make better stitch. That's a very interesting and really sad fact. But the more I am tired, the better stitch becomes. So I have to stitch when I'm really, really tired. When I'm really tired, I will be extremely quiet or very edgy. So I don't want to do the live streaming much when I'm tired. So it's a very interesting combination. I don't know which is better. But yeah, usually my stitches gets much better when I'm extremely tired. Okay, after this I will log off for today. I really appreciate you watching it, and I really appreciate you to spending time together for 1 hour Thursday night stitching or knitting or anything is fine for that. I will show you the front. It's gonna be again hot stitching. This is more like for the live streaming. When I talk, English is my second language, so when I stitch and talk, I have to be able to focus on my talking almost 100%, which means that I cannot really, I do not like focusing on stitching either, but, it gotta be, I don't want to drive somewhere new when I have somebody I have to talk next to me. I'm talking about driving. So for the live streaming, I will probably keep the really easy pattern. Not an easy pattern. pattern I can be completely blank. Thank you for watching it. So this is it's gonna be the pattern you know. It's not estimation is about I don't know how long it's gonna take, but so this is the amount of 1 hour, and that's the reason Sashiko takes a long time to make it. Only this much for 1 hour. Well, that's the beauty of hand stitching, so I cannot complain that. But I keep doing this one on the live streaming as much as I can. This is the slice of carton that I made. You can watch any live streaming with any fees. I do not edit. The whole point of this live streaming is that I do not edit any of the live streaming. It's not that I do not like editing or I don't have the skill. Well, I don't have a skill to edit in a good way. But at the same time, it is very important for me to leave as is so somebody can watch it. Somebody in the future can watch this as is stitching, and then they might be able to learn something from me. That's something I can contribute to this world. And I do have a teaching method, and I'm pretty confident that I can teach very precisely, efficiently, productively. I can teach, I can navigate, but at the same time, it is very important for me to leave the stitching as is, as a raw materials. That's something we don't have right now. We cannot watch Sashiko stitching with the Japanese did 150 years ago. I mean, it's not anybody's fault. They didn't have video back then, so it is okay to do it. But since we have those since we do have those technologies right now, I think it is our responsibility to leave as much as we can. And this live streaming is the second purpose of this live streaming is like that. It's that the first purpose of live streaming is to keep a place to be, to offer, to have, and for me as well, to have a place to be. And second reason is to leave stories and stitching as is. So if you have any questions, please leave the comments after this live streaming, or even right now. I might be able to miss it, but you can leave the comments. And yeah, I will talk about the specific topic if I receive any comments. If not, I will come up with something else again. All right, thank you so much for watching for 1 hour, and I will see you next Thursday, and have a good night. Bye bye. すみません。日本語でありがとうございました。1時間の配信終わろうと思います。明日じゃない、今日の夜、日本時間の今日の夜の、何時になるかな、多分8時ぐらいになると思うんですけれども、配信を日本語でやるのでよかったら来てください。それでは皆さん、今日も一日頑張って。バイバイ。